Republican Congresswoman of Florida, member of the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, joins me now. Thank you so much for taking time. I know there's a lot going on in Florida. First of all, let's just talk about the fact that when the president, in fact, did indeed finally meet with people there in Florida, he went on Saturday. He didn't, interestingly enough, meet with the governor, which you'd think would be something he would have fit into his agenda, no?
Well, the thing is we're so fresh right after the storm, and these are small rural communities in my district that have been hit incredibly hard. I mean, people have lost their homes and their livelihoods. And so for the resources that it takes to recover from a storm like this and attend to a presidential detail, it's incredible. So I know that the governor was out with some of the communities that were hit hardest. We've all been boots on the ground. It's a very, very tough time for our area. And as you can see behind me, there is a disaster zone that has been left in the wake of Hurricane Idalia. So I'm less concerned about what Biden wants to do to try to make up for his lack of action in East Palestine and Maui and other incidents. I'm more concerned with getting our district back on their feet.
How is your district doing, and how are FEMA funds kicking in? Because I know that is something that is of huge importance for a lot of those people who return to absolutely nothing. Their homes are absolute rubble, and now they have to rebuild from the ground up.
You know, it's really, really hard right now, Julie. We have seen entire homes disappear and just have clean foundations as though they had just been poured. Entire livelihoods, including agriculture. My district is home to tremendous amounts of agricultural operations. They have sustained huge losses. And so in terms of the federal funding, it's slow coming in. In fact, the administrator said that they are out of money. That's why the state, Florida, has really stepped up, and they're doing as much as they can to help with the debris removal, getting people back on their feet, getting fuels in their vehicles, and really helping to kickstart this process. So we're a long ways out, and hopefully we get a clean supplemental program that will fund the disasters for Hurricane Ian, for Maui, for Hurricane Idalia, without any supplemental riders on there like Ukraine funding. That's what the president has said he is looking to do, and that is unacceptable.
You know, months after the devastating train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, the president failed to visit for reasons of being too busy. It took him 2 weeks to visit Maui after it was devastated by wildfires, claiming over 100 lives. He did finally visit Florida. Did it boost morale whatsoever there? I mean, when people are devastated, they look to leadership. And when leadership doesn't seem to care, that must just be heartbreaking.
Well, you got to remember, Julie, that this is a guy who has spent 40% of his time in the White House on vacation. We don't have a commander in chief. We have a commander of the cabana. That is just absolutely absurd that he thinks he can come down here and it will boost morale. In fact, people were upset because they knew and they saw so many of these rural communities and the law enforcement that had to be diverted to do his detail, his security detail, rather than continue to help people clear the roads to make sure that there were all of these needs being met. So morale certainly wasn't boosted. It was seen more as a political stunt. And he doesn't have a great track record of making sure that the communities across the country are getting the assistance they need. Heck, my communities here in the state of Florida have yet to receive any assistance in the agricultural sector from Hurricane Ian, which devastated our agricultural sector. Wow. Now we have taken another hit. This is a failure of leadership at the top. If he's serious, he'll get his act together and he'll make sure that the agencies like USDA and FEMA are actually getting those resources to these communities.
I want to talk about another crisis, and that's the migrant mess, which continues in sanctuary cities across the country. They are feeling the pressure from the massive surge of people arriving from the southern border, as you know. In Massachusetts, the governor has had to resort to deploy 250 National Guard troops and declaring a state of emergency there. Tense back and forth here in New York. Democrats tearing into the Biden administration for not helping the struggling city. In a letter last week, DHS Secretary Mayorkas outlined 20 things he thinks New York leaders could be doing better. And the White House gave this excuse when asked why the president hasn't met with New York Governor Kathy Hochul on the issue. Watch.
The president has a lot on his plate. As you said, this is an important issue as well. But when you have the chief of staff, when you have the Secretary of Homeland Security there meeting with the governor, I think that shows how important the president thought this meeting was to make sure he had his top people speaking with her as well.
I mean, we've seen the president enjoy his time at the beach a lot this summer, okay? And he says he's touring the world. I see the world not all being in Delaware.
Yeah. You know, Julie, this is just infuriating. How about if he has a lot on his plate, it should be his time spent at the border, which at this point has been none. You can't say that he has a lot on his plate when 40% of his time is spent on vacation. And let us not forget that we're approaching the 9/11 anniversary that he won't even be in the country for. That right there is devastating as an American, but also as the wife of a first responder. How dare he skip 9/11? That is just heartbreaking. We have had 6 million plus illegals cross the border. We don't know where they came from. We know that they are going to be paroled into the country with a court date of 7 years down the road. And it has completely devastated our communities because now every town in America is a border town. We have fentanyl as the #1 killer in our country. We have crime that is rampaging across the United States. And instead, he's on vacation or out of the country. Might as well just say we're out of office. That is what should be hanging on the front door of the White House. Closed, out of office, on vacation.
Well, he will be in Alaska on 9/11, certainly breaking tradition with every president that has been in office since that horrific day as we mark the anniversary coming up. Florida Congresswoman Kat Cammack, thank you very much for talking to us. Appreciate it.